Oh shoot, where are my headphones? It is very much not morning. What is up? Oh my... I think last time I streamed I messed up, or like, I accidentally messed up my, my audio levels. So, yeah, I don't know. They might be fine. It's Tuesday! I had a day off from work, and it's stream time. You were 3 minutes late. Oh my god, is that who I think it is? Someone who never comes to my streams and never wants to support me? God, you don't even want me to stream? No, wait, Bridge streaming. I stream like every week. Approximately. It's not you? Cad. Who's Cad? I don't know Debbie. Deborah. Don't see you streaming every week. Hey, whose fault is that? You go to sleep too early. Every week is a lie. I stream most weeks. Sometimes extenuating circumstances mean I can't stream. Like, I streamed last week. Did I stream last? It's hard to remember what times. I streamed last week. I didn't stream the week before that because my phone killed itself. That's not my fault. I have a yellow Sharpie. What does anyone ever do with a yellow Sharpie? I'm just looking at it and it's not great. It's not great. Yeah, last week my phone killed itself. It's not my fault. The devil is awake, therefore I am here. Oh yeah, how's the puppy? How's the little baby? How's the little baby? We'll start. Your phone is in mood. I might be able to... Sat in the corner gathering dust. It is like... You could fit the phone I'm using right now inside my old phone and you'd still have room. It's like a solid centimeter and a half longer than the phone I'm using right now. And it's just about as is just shy of being the same width with a phone case on as my old phone was, the one that killed itself, so that's fun. Wait, no, wait. My old phone is bigger than in all the ways than the new one. Anyway, we're gonna get rid of the screens right now. We're playing this game again, playing Locked in Mind because I had fun with it. Make it brighter because I can't see anything. And we're also gonna make it brighter for me on my screen. Awa awa. I've somehow lost my windscreen again. The foam one that goes right over top of my mic, so now it's just the other one that I have. Oh wait, I don't know if that's the correct. I don't know if I'm doing the right puzzle. I didn't even check. I just pressed play. We'll find out. No, we're here again. That's not what I wanted. Back to menu. That's the wrong one. I can't remember. I don't think I finished. I didn't finish this new game. I didn't finish this one. What is this called? This thingy. The play one. I didn't finish that one because it was longer and I got a headache as I do with 3D games. And we're back at the beginning. That's fine. I'll just do it again. It's a piece of broken metal. There's a piece of broken metal on my desk for some reason. It's tiny. I think it's from a broken compass. Because I remember I broke my compass. Drawing compass. Okay, well, that's fine. I have not been on my computer in oh god, I don't remember how to use anything. How do you use... Do you left click stuff? You do, okay. Cool. And there is no music here. How have you guys been? We haven't seen each other in forever, and I don't know any of you. I've never met any of you in my life. Who are you? Why are you here? On the gays, they're queers. You know? That's my opinion on them. Let's search a bunch of shirts. Okay. I don't actually remember the order that they're supposed to go in, so we're just gonna leave them. We're gonna leave them here. We'll find out after. Personally, I'm supportive of them queers, them funny little queers. How about you? How do you feel about them? Sit down. You don't watch Eurovision? No, neither do I. I'm not a connoisseur of the European stuff. What is it? 631? 631. I feel like there was music here. Let's turn that off. Let's turn up the sensitivity a little bit just because I'm getting weird amounts of feedback. Absolutely no feedback. 6. I can remember 3 numbers, it's fine. There you go. But has good content? Does it? I know nothing. Not like those lunatics. You mean Europeans? Triangle, circle, circle. Is it this one? Yeah, it is. Come on. Triangle. It takes forever. There we go. Polly's not European? Are you sure? Are you sure about that? sit. My toxic trait is being European. Yeah. Personally, I could never be European. Especially in May. Oof. But yeah, personally, I could never be European. Sorry. Sorry, I could never. It's just not me. It's just not me. Oh my god, you're an iPhone user? Gross. Okay, now I don't remember what to do here. $9.75. This is a word. Hat. Shut up, not willingly. You're not willingly an iPhone user? Then what are you doing? Take all the hats down. Move all the hats. You're upset? What are you upset about? Oh, right, key. I remember there being a key in like the pot. The plant pot over here. Maybe that was a different plant. Oh, here. There we go. It was 9, 7, 5. There we go. Stab, stab, stab. I don't know what you're talking about. I have very few clue. Boat, tree, clown, boot. Boat, tree, clown, boot. Poland should perish? What? You guys are haters. You guys are allowed to be haters, but I'm so confused. Oh, right. That.
The real question is when we break out. Take a look around. This cardboard set may seem unimpressive at first, but it holds the key to a world.
I'm not gonna watch anything you guys encourage me to watch. I am not. I don't like understanding information. We all know this. No, it's not that one. Don't talk to me.
Your next task is to talk to the knight and the baker on stage.
No. Put that down. Wait, do I have to talk to them or can I do something else? If your name's show and tell, I'll cry. I'll cry about it. I don't want to. Leave me alone. Target practice. 3, 1, 2, 1. FCPL. I owe you writing time. I'm gonna give you that coinage back because I've not been. Geez, I've been talking and I don't know what I'm thinking. Oh, that's why the sensitivity was down, because the, it was giving me a headache. That's right. Forgot about that. I'm very bad with 3D games. I owe you writing time? Sure. 1, 2, F, C, P, L. I'm gonna give you those points back because I don't feel like doing it. C, P, L. I have not been able to do anything useful. I've been so useless. Also, fun fact, we're lisping again, because of course we are. It was actually worse earlier today.
I seek a golden crown to present to the king, but I cannot accomplish this feat alone.
Yeah, it was worse earlier because I was,
To gather
show and tell. Damn it, I don't want to watch it! I'm not watching it!
metal and shape it into
I don't have to do anything you tell me to do!
success will be remembered
Stop it.
for ages to come. And I cannot do it without
Hey, Barrel. No, I'm not doing it. I don't have to do anything. You don't control me. 1. Let me play this game. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, scam. I'm a scam artist. I can do what I want. It's mostly because if I stop playing this now, I will not want to start again because it'll make me even more sick. So I'm not doing it. I get to decide that. I'm actually gonna turn my fan on. 1 second, I'll be back. I'm not actually leaving. I'm not going. Stop moving. I'm not going anywhere. My rules. It's been getting like really hot here. Yeah, I'm a scammer. Oh my god. It's been getting very warm in my city, in my fun little city. And I've been dying and I hate it. 1, 2, 3. Oh, maybe it's 7. 4, 5. Hope I suffer. Do it. Guess how much content you'll get if I'm dead? None. You'll get 0. You'll get 0 contents. You got 1 here. 2. 3. Anyway, yeah, it was like I've had like 3. I've had like 2 shifts where it's actually been sunny, and I'm getting tanned, guys. We're getting a tan. We're getting a tan, and it's so fun. It's great. It's great. That's not right. On the SMP, and you're upset? On what SMP? There's an SMP. French people neg. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. You guys are watching content? I've been only consuming How to Train Your Dragon stuff. We're suffering here. We're not suffering. I'm actually loving it. I've only been consuming How to Train Your Dragon stuff. It's only How to Train Your Dragon. Only. That's it. They let British people on. Oh, there you go. Give them. How do I acquire flour? Oh, that works. I didn't even talk to the chef. I didn't have to do that. Dogs. I got no clue what y'all are referring to. This is where I ended last time. This is the last room I was in. So it's starting early, the headache. That's fun. I love it when that happens and I can't play games because my head hates me. 7. Do I have anything to tell you guys about? I can't remember. I'm like spacing out, dudes. Someone else talk for me. Someone else give me stuff. You're also getting motion sick? Yeah. The addition of Portuguese. I know none of these languages. Not even English. Oh, did I just... Wow, it's super choppy looking on OBS. Well, that's fine. It's fine. It's gonna look super choppy. It's okay. I need a stool. I need to steal a chair from somewhere. There's French people. You guys are watching it? Couldn't be me. I'm never up to date on anything. Tallulah? Who? You guys are just saying words at me. Who? Continue to just be saying words at me. There's supposed to be a stool here. Egg? Why is egg? Why there be egg? Did I miss something? I can't pick it up. That looks like that thing, doesn't it? Hmm. Eggs. They all keep dying? Yeah. Trusting a bunch of Minecrafters to take care of children. I know there's some Minecrafters who have children and are fine parents. I just think it's funny. Nope, nothing in there. Nothing in there. Oh, guys, guess what? I'm planning to get another tattoo. Hopefully. Jesus, hopefully. I want one. I want another one so badly. Do I have to, like, make a stool out of something? I'm not seeing a stool around here. You know what? We can get a hint. That's fun. Count the number of books on each shelf? On all of them? For that? 5, 7. 5, 7. That's 4. 5, 7, 7. 5. I've been, like, customer servicing all week. By all week, I mean all the days I've had work. So I'm, like, very out of it. Okay. It was glove at first sight. A mitten is not a glove. Hi, Zinc. Stars. Triangles. Hourglass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not a triangle, that's a diamond. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 5. 5, 4, 2. Ah! 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, wait. Yeah. How can you play this? Yeah, no, I got really bad. I'm like unfocusing my eyes. This is why I usually don't play, mobile. I keep saying mobile games. That's not true. That's not what I'm saying. This is why I usually don't play, 3D games, because it's bad. It's not good. Oh, it just looks like the color of the stuff that you're supposed to put. Mobile, yeah, I also don't play mobile games. No, why would I know what that is? It's another gotcha game, nice. But yeah, I straight up try not to look when I'm moving things around. Have I played Cookie Clicker? No. Oh, that's all of them. Aww. Just new game. Guys, what do you think new game means? Yeah, Debbie, you should stream, and also tell me when you stream, because I don't have Twitch notifications on. Oh, no, it's just restarting the game, the ones we did. Me and what's time? New game means you stop playing this game and you play Minecraft? I could play. Yeah, I can play Minecraft. Do you want me to? I'll play Minecraft. Here, we'll do this. Give me be right back screen. We'll play Minecraft. That's locked in mind, I guess. Minecraft. We can build things in Minecraft and waiting on install. What? It's installing something? I could. I very well could. Do you want me to actually, because I haven't refunded you yet, do you want me to write or do you want me to play Minecraft? Debbie is the only art streamer I'd watch while they're arting. What about my mods? Would you watch my mods play? Would you would you watch my mods art? Do arts and craftings? Do drawings? Right. Except click in the background. Okay. If I was doing a little stop it. I actually can't do any IRL streams anymore because my phone died and killed itself and I can't film anything. I was gonna film something and I'm mad about it now. I'm mad because I was actually super excited about the thing. I was gonna make a video. Now I can't. I made a mini stool. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, I was gonna do a video and I can't anymore because my phone killed itself. But whatever. I get distracted easily. I don't think I can watch it. Okay. All right. Well, we'll do writerings, and then I won't have to refund you for the thing. Is there a writing category? I can never remember. Let's do the writing. Sure, we'll be in the let's do the writing category. What was the prompt? The prompt was picnic at the council. Picnic. Oh, yeah, just do that. Okay, cool. Picnic. Cool. Hey, well, let's see if we get, for some reason, any new lore, new council lore. I also need to put music on now because it's quiet as hell. How funny would it be if I just opened one of my fic docs and we just went through that? I'm not doing it, but how funny would that be if we just went through one of my fic docs? We might get Council Room lore, yeah. We probably will. Do it, coward! It would be very funny. It would be so funny if I did that. I'd be a very funny person if I did that. However, I'm not gonna do I'm not gonna do that. OMG, I'll do if I get, I'd say if I get enough votes for it, I'll do a stream on Discord. I'll do a stream on the Discord for it, in the writing time, or the writing club, VC. I'll do a stream where I go through one of my massive, Give you your own thing. God, no. Jesus. I can show you what I have. I haven't added much to it since the last time we talked about it. I think it's still only about 2,000 words. Which is way too short for what the actual whole thing is. It was gonna be, I think it was gonna be like 10. But the style of writing it'd probably be closer to 10k, if I was finished. Give me, scroll everything, please. Come on. Thank you. Tools, word count. Yeah, 2,598 words. Of 81,000? Are you kidding me? No, not 81,000. 83,743 words in this document. 185 pages, because I'm insane. You've been waiting on... Yo, so have I. So have I. Guess who is rereading their fics again and is trying to get back into writing mindset? Guys, I've been struggling for writing anything. We're not going through my fic doc. Why am I insane having them all in one doc? I don't have all of them in one doc. I don't have all of them. Talk less, write more. I would. I would go through your fic doc. I'm gonna have it on screen. I'm gonna have the tab open on screen to taunt you, but no. It's so bad. It's so stupid. I hate you. I hate you specifically. Where's Bridgian literature? Where's Ah! I hit my mic. No, but seriously, where's Bridgian literature? I can't find it. Where's where's the untitled document? No, that's Polly's. Writing, it's called writing. I thought I named it Bridgian literature. Weird. Should be cancel rate, yeah. Maybe you accidentally click on it. Haha, screw you. Let's do this. Writing time. Cool. Make sure I have nothing incriminating on my screen. Cool. Ah, not what I wanted. Give me. There we go. Oh, no, not that. Don't do that. For some reason, it's very small. Oh, that's the wrong capture. Where's my captures? Not the wrong capture. That's the wrong thing. It's the wrong thingamabob, okay? I don't know what I'm doing. I've never known what I'm doing. I'm sorry, you did call it that. Maybe you changed it. What happened to your volume? Nothing happened. I just moved away from my... It just says bridge. I didn't realize that. Okay. As you can see up here... it's right up here. It's just right up here. It's just called Sigh. The other one is called Self-Indulgence, and that one's like 75k. Or something to that extent, and that one is, oh, that one's so funny. That one's on my... I'm trying to think of a way to say it funny, but I can't, so it's all my Voltron stuff, because I'm insane. That one took 4 years to fill up. This one took a year, and I have more fic documents that are fics that are not on this page because I have too many. What am I doing? Picnic at the council. Guys, we're really we're really out here testing my sanity. That's so funny. I really use you guys's need a writing class. I was actually, yeah, I was real inspired last year. Yeah. Again, like 9 months. I did all of that in like 9 months because I was insane. There was like a month. No. Yeah, in like April, I was like I updated like every week or so. I think at one point I posted something on the 12th, and then I posted something again on the 18th of April. It was like I was doing too much. It's a whole baby. Yeah, I'd 100% do a writing like a writing thing. Oh my god, we've been friends for a year. Still haven't seen what I look like. Polly saw what I looked like 3 months after we met, so, but I'd 100% do a writing thing. I'd need something. I was literally having a writing conversation, like a writing class conversation to myself earlier because I was reading fics and they were bad. They're not great. No, they weren't bad. They were just not great. I will continue to get distracted. It was about dialogue and like flow and things like that and how to make things sound more natural, but like, God, I love writing so much. This is like my thing. You can't see what you look like if you don't have a face. Ha ha ha. True. Picnic at the council. So, I have been basically what I do whenever you guys ask me for council lore is I use it as an excuse to world build for Pocket Bunker because you guys are essentially in the same kind of place. If you love writing so much, teach us. What do you want to learn about? You know what? We can make this a writing lesson if you want. If you tell me what you want to learn. I can't, that's so unnarrow. I'm not making a lesson plan. None of you are paying me. I'm not making a lesson plan for you. If you want to learn about something, ask me something specific. Especially when Kai is not here. It's great. It's so fun. But, in Pocket Bunker, one of the rooms is a sort of outdoor garden area. So I can write that, you guys, into that outdoor garden area. The council room, as in the Discord and what would actually be the council room, does not have that, to my knowledge. Possibly it does. We'll look. I have specific. That should be enough, right? Absolutely not. If you have a specific writing question, I can help you. Do you want to like format, plotting, dialogue, other things? Syntax. Syntax. Oh, point of view? Point of view is a fun one. And you fill out all this, said that, So, God, this would be so much easier if I had some kind of example of my writing to like, compare this to, like, go over and talk about. It'd be so much easier if I had something to go through to give you examples. To have a picnic is in the playmat. No. That'd be true. Like, having a picnic there would be helpful, but would work. But I'm thinking now. I said that it probably didn't exist. You guys probably didn't have like the garden outdoor area. But now that I'm thinking about it, you straight up might, and I just don't know where it is. Yeah. What I do for dialogue tags is I do my best to not have to have as few of them as possible. It's like they're like adverbs and epithets. You do the least amount. You do the least amount, and then if anything you can't get away with avoiding, you add in. Actually, wait 1 second. Give me a diddly darn minute. Screens. I'll show you. That's what I'm looking for. Leads to a perfect picnic place. I would like write up something quick, but I take forever to write unless I'm like in the brain space for it. So I'm not gonna do that. Let's see if I can find an actual piece of writing that I don't mind showing you guys. Cause straight up, it's a lot. The more you take to write, the more you can teach us. What? What are you saying? I'd show you with the other prompts I have for writing time, but they're not great for that because of how quick they go through. I don't want to go into the DCB fic things. Cause it's embarrassing. With all of this stuff, I don't have to hear people talk to me about it. TikTok, no. I don't wanna go into the TikTok. It's embarrassing. You guys are bullying me. I'm being bullied. Fine. You know what? We'll do this. I've been bullied. Well, it's so stupid. It's so dumb. I am... Whatever. We'll pretend it's fine. We'll pretend I don't feel embarrassed by it. We'll do it like this, because I hate you guys. Turn screens off. Oh, you straight up, you can still see it. That's fine. It's fine. Shut up. You, shut your mouth. It's the document. Does that? Sure, whatever. You guys can pick from my stupid list over here all of this. All the stuff with the check marks on it have been completed and I've posted them. Yeah, there it is. Where is it? It's right there, right here. Glorious. The sacred text, yes. Some of it is straight up, like, if you can see over... You straight up can't see my mouse, but if you can see to the right, a lot of it is, there's quite a few bullet points, but, yeah, pick something, because I don't want to look at it. I've posted most of this. Most of the stuff that has check marks on it, I've posted, and then this is the only one I straight up gave up on. You want to look at... There's not much there. It's 2,000 words, and it's not... Oh yeah, did I send you the Portal AU? I don't know. I don't want to look at it. Okay, it's not. I haven't edited it. Okay, you have to be nice to me. You have to be nice to me. Actually, no. Pick a check mark. Pick a check mark, Vic. We're not exposing things I haven't posted. I have to look at it. No. It's me hating cars. You want to look at daycare? Okay. It might be different from what's actually posted, because I was literally rereading this earlier, today. Wait. I was rereading it earlier today, and what I'll do is I'll, like, write most of the fic on, or I'll write most of my story. What? What? Huh? Oh god. Okay, that's weird. Something weird was happening. Yeah, we're going... I write most of it in Google Docs, and then I put it into AO3, and then I edit it and add things in AO3. The reason I'm doing this is because I have a separate document, I think, with daycare stuff, although that might just be notes. That is just notes. Never mind. I just took notes. Cool. I'm like sweating. I'm sweating. I'm fully sweating. This is great. Don't ask questions. I'm saying that just a little bit. I'm gonna delete this VOD. I'm gonna delete this VOD. We don't get this, we're not getting this VOD. I'm deleting it afterwards. Okay, you guys, this is actually not a great example. I had fun writing this, but this is truly just straight up crack fic, so it's not good. It's not great. There's also not a lot of dialogue in this. Where's my dialogue? I don't have dialogue in here. No, we need more dialogue. Yeah, I don't remember there being a lot of dialogue. There might be some in the, there's some here. I was going for... I was going for, a certain vibe, so this is not how I usually write we need VOD. No. This is not how yeah, there's more in chapter 2. That's what we're in. It's not how I usually write dialogue, which is fun. So it's not especially helpful. It's not super helpful, I don't think. Where's my... There's no scrolly thingy here. What? Can I... there we go. God, that's weird. I don't know why it's acting like that. That's fine. This is a terrible example, but we'll go with it anyway. So dialogue tags are whenever something whenever you use the word said or asked or sneered or something like that. Whenever it's like an indicator of speech with like the character or a pronoun or something like that, that's dialogue tags. Then there are not dialogue tags. They don't really have a name, but I usually call them action tags because it is an action associated with the dialogue that lets you know that something is happening and also who it is happening with. Yeah, they're not the most intuitive. What I'll do, and also if you avoid both of these, you'll get void dialogue. Also not an actual term for it, but it's what I call it. And if you've seen, well, no, Kaha's seen this because I've written all over a piece that they sent to me about void dialogue, because it's straight up just dialogue, line for line dialogue, and it's nothing else is happening, and it looks super empty because a lot of dialogue is really short. Hello. As you can see, a lot of dialogue is very short. It's just sometimes one word. It's sometimes just one sentence. But yeah, void dialogue is like this doesn't have any tags on it, so you just get this over and over again. You are doing bad when you do it, and I'm judging you. You're doing bad when you're doing it, and I'm judging you. It can be effective for certain things. It can make the pacing very quick. So you can get through something very quickly, and yeah, it can make the pacing very quick, and it's like, if you've ever seen shows or movies where they do shot reverse shot when people are having a conversation, it's like that. It's a quick way to get through that, but after a while it gets boring, and it gets boring, and when you're in writing, because you can't see anything except what they're saying, it can get really disorienting. You can do void dialogue, quote unquote, for a few lines where they're having an exchange. Like you can do it for a few lines when two characters are having an exchange where they're just like, it's just the back and forth on them, but I would recommend to do that only in certain situations. But yeah, what am I saying? The POV of this, also all of the things in this document, all 85,000 plus words, has terrible POV, or not POV, it has terrible tense. Most of it is in third person, technically limited. This is in a really weird POV because it's technically still third person limited. However, the character who we're following is omniscient. Maybe Thanos. I'll keep it. I'll keep it. I'm not gonna publicly post the VOD, but I'll unlist it and post the link to Writing Club. But whatever. Okay. So, 1 second. Let me. This would have been so much easier if I could write things down, but then I'd have to hook up something else. Let me. Give me 1 second. I want to bring up another document so I can. We'll use the writing time document, and so I can write notes for you guys. Yeah. So the POV structures are like, the general ones are first person, second person, third person, limited, and then third person. I think it's omniscient. Like, that's the term for it. I'm gonna send, but I don't remember. So these are only one person's 8 words sort of. So these are generally the let me make this bigger. These are gonna be generally the POVs you'll see. First person is when it's in my like perspective, so things like the Hunger Games and the Percy Jackson series are in first person. Second person is when it's talking about you, so it's saying you, the reader, is the main character generally in the book. So a lot of choose your own adventure stories are like this. Poetry uses this form quite a bit. Not so many books outside, not so many books outside of choose your own adventure use this tense or this POV because it's kind of difficult to do. But for example, the book You, I'm pretty sure uses it. It's like the one that the TV show is based off of. That I'm pretty sure that uses second person POV, and it uses it very effectively because that's kind of the whole point of the book. It's someone who is like, the main character is stalking this person and is talking to them but never actually interacts with them. I mean myself, yeah. And then the third persons are the ones you see most stories written in, because you get a lot of flexibility with them, and they are, in my opinion, the easiest to write in and actually sound like you know what you're doing. Third person, my beloved. Yes, third person, my beloved. Most of the stuff I write is in third person. I've written one second person thing. And then, actually, I've written one second person story, and then I have the poetry that I've done, which does not count. It can, yeah, it's generally really nice to read. It is, all of them have to be used for the effect that they give. The thing is, the reason that first and second person oftentimes don't feel nice to read is because people don't know how to use it or are not using it for the reasons they should be. Ugh. Like, first person, you get into the head of the character, so it needs to be a story in which the person doesn't talk very much, or you would get some kind of enrichment to the story from hearing their thoughts, or their opinions, or their reaction to whatever's going on. Like, in the Hunger Games, you have this girl from this very poor district where she only knows this way of life, suddenly being thrust into this death battle arena where things are always happening. She doesn't really talk, she doesn't really talk out loud very much because she's alone a lot of the time. So you could definitely do that in third person, but you would be spending a lot of time, or you would be doing a lot of thought, like, Katniss thought this, blah, 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 which can make it very messy and muddled and can kind of bog down the story. So having it in first person in a scenario like this really helps. It also helps you to endear you to the character, because you, not that you are the main character, but you feel a lot closer because you're basically in their head. It's written wrong, yeah. A lot of fanfiction writers will use first person because they feel like it's easier to write, but they do it wrong, or they do it for the wrong reasons, so it doesn't sound good. Yeah, because they use it, people use it for stream of consciousness writing. This is a very visually appealing stream, but people use it for stream of consciousness writing, where it's just, they just go and they don't like think about plot structure or even scene structure, and they're just talking and blabbing and yada yada yada, and it's they basically just write third person limited but with the first person structure, so it feels really strange and disjointed. Second person is difficult and strange and weird, and I've used it once to, I think, proper effect, because I really wanted to like enforce the feelings that this character was having on whoever was reading it, but that's kind of it. Second person is a really interesting one because it really is saying this is happening to you, this is what you are going through, you are doing this, so it's good for enforcing emotions onto the character. It's good like in the book You, where it's from a stalker's perspective, where the narrator is describing things that you, quote unquote, are doing. It's effective in that way because, of course, that's kind of the style of it. You can also do like letters, so it's literally talking to where they're literally talking to the reader. That's where it's effective. Choose your adventure, of course, blah blah blah. This is probably the one I have the least experience on, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. Third person limited is the holy grail of literally works with pretty much anything. You can do really anything you want in third person limited. It's the easy one. People get it, or people think it's not, but that's just because they don't know how writing works. Third person limited is what a lot of fanfiction writers are doing, except they're exchanging the third person the third person pronouns for first person pronouns, and it just sounds stupid. Third person limited is where you follow around. It's like a third third-person perspective in video games, so you're following around basically just a little bit behind the character, watching what they do from an outside perspective. Limited means that you are following one character. You can do third-person limited, but have a bunch of different characters, like in the Game of Thrones series. They have, like, each chapter is titled after the character you're following, and each of those chapters are in third person limited, so you're following around that character. You can oftentimes get inside that person's head. You're seeing it partially from from their perspective, but you don't have the first person pronouns. Makes it very easy for storytelling. That's what I do for most of my stuff. But in third person, yes, but you also get, because it's limited, you get more freedom with the idea that you can separate yourself a little bit from that character. You can talk about things this character isn't seeing or does not see, but is in that general surrounding area. Another fun thing about third person limited is you can swap characters, which you can't do in first person. Technically you can, but you would have to have like chapter breaks where you establish that it's a separate thing. In third person limited, you can swap characters in the middle of in the middle of a scene. Think of it like when you're filming, you kind of follow a character into a scene and then follow another character out. It's a fun one to use. With 1 through whole to fix. Yeah, you can do a lot with third person limited. Third person omniscient is an interesting one. It is in this scenario, the narrator is a character in itself, and the narrator sees everything and knows everything that's happening. It's also, technically, you do have the most freedom for third-person omniscient. However, it can be tricky because it can sound clinical. So things like like scientific papers, if you were talking about fiction writing, those would sort of be written in third person omniscient, because it is like stating facts. This is what is happening and I'm telling you the truth. You can't do unreliable narrators with third person omniscient, because that's kind of the point. This, like, third person omniscient is the truth, is facts. Like the SCP Foundation, things like SCP entries sort of work as third-person omniscient, because it's just like facts being given to you. But what's an unreliable narrator? Yeah, so unreliable narrator you can do in first person, you can do it in third person. You can do it in second person if the reason you're in second person is because someone is narrating to you, but it has to be a character. It can't be the narrator. The narrator can't be so the narrator has to be a character. It can't just be like a general world narrator. Yeah, so for example, in my Dying Light fic, Dream's an unreliable narrator because it's third person limited, and he doesn't actually know too much what's going on, but he has conviction on what he thinks is going on, and it's not actually the truth. It's very fun. I love doing it. Other examples would be like if you have characters with a very strong belief. Yeah, no, really, unreliable narrator can happen if the character has incorrect information. It can happen accidentally. Sometimes people do it on purpose because it's fun and it's very funny, and it's the way that you kind of get mystery and surprise and suspense sometimes. Not really suspense, but mostly mystery and surprise in stories, because it's a little bit harder to do that when a reader can read it at their own pace and like slow it down. So having an unreliable narrator where they're literally feeding you wrong information but they don't know what's wrong can make things very fun. But yeah, that's that. I remember the guys telling how you met Scott as an unreliable narrator. I don't remember what that is. Is it unreliable narrator if it's obvious it's unreliable? Yes, if it's obvious to the reader that it's unreliable, it can still be an unreliable narrator if the narrator themselves is either intentionally lying for whatever reason, but generally not. Actually, no. I don't think unreliable narrator counts if the person is lying to you, unless it's like narrator as a character, not like character as a narrator. If it's obvious that the character, you can play with the main character in third person limited being an unreliable narrator where the reader knows that they're wrong. That is considered dramatic irony. So dramatic irony is when the readers, viewers, watchers are aware that something that is happening is in contradiction to some other truth, some kind of truth in the world. So like in Romeo and Juliet, where Romeo goes into, I don't remember where Juliet is, but he sees her on the ground and he thinks she's dead, and he kills himself because he wants to be with her in the afterlife, but she's not actually dead, she's just fake dead. That's dramatic irony, and that's in that situation, the audience fully knows what's going on, but if we're in third person limited with Romeo, he has no clue what's going on, and he would be an unreliable narrator because it's something that he has conviction for, it's something he has a belief in, but he's wrong about it, and he kills himself for it. Dramatic irony, Juliet immediately wakes up as soon as he kills himself, and then has to kill herself right after so they can be together. But yeah, it's fun. Sometimes, if, like, in second person, if it was in second person, also memoirs are also a good one for second person. If you have, I don't know if you have, but I very clearly have the How to Train Your Dragon books because I love them, are written as memoirs from Hiccup at the end of his life. And the beginning and the ends of them, so the prologues and the epilogues, are written in second person, where he's informing the reader that about the story that they're about to read, or at the ends, he's like giving concluding message. And he's talking to the audience, and then it switches to third person limited for most of the book because he's writing as a story. In his own justification, it's because it happened so far in the past that it feels like it happened to a different person. So that's how that was gone around. Whatever. I'm getting tangenty. But you can get, if you are in second person, you can get an unreliable narrator who is purposefully being unreliable to the reader. Woo! But in first person and third person limited as well as omniscient, it's hard to do that where they're purposefully being untruthful to the reader, because in everything but second person, the reader is in a place of power essentially in the story, where in first person they're literally in the person's head, and in third person omniscient, they have all the knowledge. In third person limited, they also have access to the person's head, so it's hard to lie to the reader purposefully. In second person you can do that because the narrator it's essentially what I'm having a conversation is being in second person. So right now I could lie to you because you don't know what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, the purposes of my purposes are. But if we were from my perspective, I couldn't do that because you have access to my brain, kind of thing. Unreliable narrators are fun. They're great for fake outs and things like that, but unreliable narrator, the reason that becomes a tag is because it has to be consistent through the story. Usually it happens when something morally gray is happening, or the character is messed up in the head. A lot of times that's going to be what's going on, where they're deluded and things like that. it's usually when they have some sort of delusion. It doesn't have to be that they are crazy or whatever, but they have some sort of delusion about what's going on. They're in denial. That's when you get unreliable narrator, because if a character just doesn't know something, that's just a character not knowing something, right? That's not the fault of the character. And yeah. And it can really color the world a lot if you use an unreliable narrator. It's very fun. What you can get is you can get is a character that is very in their own head, charismatic and reasonable and thinking they're right, and you can get to a point where you kind of convince the reader that this character is correct. And that's probably the most effective use of unreliable narrator, where you straight up just you gaslight the readers into believing what the character is talking about, is thinking. And as soon as they separate themselves from that, as soon as they take a second to actually think about it objectively, you go, oh god, that character's crazy. It's like, oh god, that character is doing a little too much. That character needs to stop and calm down. Or yeah, something is you're missing stuff here. You can also play with unreliable narrator in ways that are not just the character's perspective, like purposefully leaving out information that other characters would have. It's fun to do this in third person limited, and I did do this in third person limited with funny little this one don't go back to my other things. This one, the Dying Lights fic crossover thing I did, where I was purposely leaving out information that you could technically get if you played the fic doc. Yes, if you played the games. I did change a few things, so it might still be like questionable even if you did play the games, but there is a very big tell that something is not as it seems as long as you played the game. So I'm being an unreliable narrator as the writer here, but so is Dream. Yeah, exactly. I knew that was going to be a lot of people who hadn't played the games or seen the games, so that was something I was playing with. But as the writer, I know exactly what Dream knows, and in this, he also knows this information that I left out. I did actually write it in at some point. Like I had a little reference to it. I threw it in there to be like, hey, do you remember this thing? But I let it be very not vague, but like I let it be kind of a throwaway comment if you just ignored it, because I like to do foreshadowing. But speaking of delusions, he's super sick in this and is deluded into thinking that he was the cause of the attack on his home and his friends, and the reason that all the people that he cares about got injured, and that his horse died. They took his horse. Oh, that was fun. I remember being like, yeah, someone's gonna die. It's like, his horse is gonna die here. That was fun. His horse is dead. Oh no. Very fun. Loved that. Love it so much. But yeah, he starts out being deluded, and then once he gets bit, he's very sick for the remainder of the fic, and part of that is some mental mess ups. Like his brain goes sour very quickly, and so he makes strange and bad choices, but they feel they make sense to him. Like he chooses not to tell his friends that he has been injured and is infected. This is so not a puzzle game. No, we finished the puzzle game earlier. I'm sorry. We're talking about writing because I'm very funny about it. I don't know what that was. I have to check what that was. I gotta, God, that was the wrong count. Oops. Writing lessons with Bridge. Yeah, we're talking about writing stuff, with examples from, yeah, it's literature class, with examples from the fic doc, where I've written too many words. But yeah, that's POV, and we're also talking about unreliable narrator, narrate. And I will. First steps in writing fanfiction, leave me alone. Okay, straight up, writing fanfiction is a whole different beast than writing your own, like, original works. Okay, not a whole different beast, but it is quite different than writing your own original works, and it's a strange learning curve to switch between. Anyway, they are cousins. They are cousins, yeah. They're cousins, and they're not the same. You don't have to introduce the characters. However, you really should, in some way or another, especially if said characters have multiple iterations. Like, for example, FicDoc, I write mainly in AUs. I wouldn't say it's a really interesting thing, because there's different challenges in writing both. For writing, I personally like it when I have a little bit less freedom in writing. In a lot of creative aspects, actually, when I have a little bit less freedom, because I get analysis paralysis, and so having too much freedom gives me shocks. They have a little bit of issues when it comes to writing fics as opposed to writing original works. You have to consider at what point does it stop being a fan fiction and start being an original work? Because a lot of people will kind of say they're writing fan fiction, but in truth are just kind of being inspired by what they're seeing and will write something completely unique. And it might be a good story to read, but it's a bad fan fiction because it's not. I'm really not talking about 50 Shades of Grey. If you want other examples, Mortal Instruments is a rewrite of Harry Potter incest fanfiction. It's weird. People write weird stories. But no, like I'm talking about like in actual fanfiction that is marketed as fanfiction. What people will do is yeah, it's Ron and Ginny. God, it's weird. Jesus Christ. So, like, people will create whole new worlds with AUs, especially things as HP Noodleheads, right? Yeah, I know. We'll create whole new world. We'll create whole new identities for these characters, and the issue there is you want to write these familiar characters, but it's a fun interesting psychology question of how much is nature and how much is nurture, and you kind of have to decide at that point for yourself, what do I believe is something that is a inherent personality trait of this character versus what is something that is put on them by their environments. Your DA became 2% worse after hearing that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not my fault. It's truly not my fault. I didn't write that, and also I didn't bring up 50 Shades of Grey. Quite the word factoid, I know. Like, for example, in my... Make it 3%, I will report you. I don't know how to do that. 3% better? Okay, we'll talk about... Oh yeah, no, 100%. People love incest for some reason. It's weird. so gross. Jesus. I'll talk about my own original works because it's easy to do that because I also have fanfiction brain for them as well. I'm a fan of what I've written of my own characters. So for example, in the Team Eagle Eyes group, like the podcast thingy, in that there is the concept of the hallway where it's every possible universe and timeline ever existing ever at all you have access to. So in a way, I can write canon fanfiction with my characters in these alternate universes. They can't have the same kind of timeline, but like they do something slightly different. That's not canon, but like them being normal people in college or something like that, or university, I can have like something like that and have it be technically canon. And at that point, because they live in literally a post-apocalyptic world where things are real strange, and some of them, one character in particular, I don't know why I'm coughing, it's Mal, has had a very strange had a very strange upbringing, which doesn't really have a modern world equivalent without being really messed up. Even more messed up than it technically already is. But, with a character like this, and bringing them into the modern world, I could give them a sort of equivalent backstory, but that would fully just stop it from being a modern world AU. I have to decide how much of the things that are wrong with them is caused by how they were brought up, and like how much of the worldview is based on what they have been taught versus what they would actually believe. Like, I don't know what I was saying. I'm confused. Sorry, my brain is reeling. I'm thinking so many things at once. Like, for example, honestly, Mal, if they were a person in the real world, 100% cop or military. 100 would do that. As, like, a choice, not because they're really strapped for money or anything like that. It would be based on it would still have to be based on their upbringing if you made a very, very specific choice to have them be brought up in a loving home where they don't have parents, or where they have parents who care about them and like are there and are not encouraging them to be part of the military or a cop, then they wouldn't do that. But because part of how they're brought up is so important to how this character acts and is, it's kind of like, if I bring this into a fanfiction AU world, I kind of have to make them like this. They kind of have to have a bad they have to kind of have a bad upbringing, or else something is wrong in this character or someone else. Yeah, that's a fun thing about fanfiction. That's like, you always got to think about. And also, something I see a lot of fanfiction writers doing that like irks me. Not enough to stop reading fics, but definitely irks me and makes me like, I don't like this, but I will continue reading it, is when a writer will have determined what roles characters are going to play in a fanfiction without considering how that changes the character. Like, I was reading a fic, and it had the two main characters in these two roles, and reading through it, it very much was like, oh, you should have just swapped these characters. It would have made more sense if you just swapped these characters, because the upbringing reflects how they are in their canon source. And it's like, why have you done it this way? I understand you want these characters to be in these roles, but you should have changed the roles to fit more the character, or you should have changed the characters to fit the roles, because you kind of have to do that, or else you're just kind of messing with what makes sense for the characters. And I was reading it, I was like, this is so weird. This doesn't make sense. I still finished it. It was not a completely finished story, so I'm not going to be continuing to read it, but I did finish the whole of what was written. In synthesis, know your characters. They are chemical elements. You must study them in isolation alongside reactive environments. Nice, good for you. Good sandwich. I wouldn't say you have to study them fully in isolation. So much, again, the nature versus nurture thing, you can't just have a character that is just their nature, because the way that they were brought up, the nurture that they've experienced, is going to inform so much of who they are as a person. And will make things tricky, difficult. The advantage of writing your own fiction, know them more than studying them, ? I think it's more of a thing of, you have to understand how life affects how a person acts. The thing about writing is you kind of have to not be an expert, but you have to be knowledgeable about anything and everything you are planning to write about. You don't have to be an expert, like I said, but you have to understand it, you have to know about it. And so, because most people are writing about humans or human equivalents, you have to know how humans are going to act and react, and how people have emotions or can process emotions. Do your homework, yeah. It helps having being a very empathetic person. It helps to study how other people, or how people react to things. Characters are not real people though, so there is a bit of a leeway that you have where you can kind of fudge the truth a little bit to fit the story better, because they don't have to act exactly like humans act, or else things might get a little weird or boring. But yeah, it's really, learning how to do characters is very hard if you don't have like an intuitive grasp on what people kind of act like. You have to understand, I don't even have I have maybe a quarter of a glass, but okay. Strength? Damn, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go refill my water. I'll be back. Think of more questions to ask me for me to talk about, because I will just continue rambling about nothing in particular. I'm also gonna change the title. Writing class, ? I'm not even properly writing. Oh well. But yeah, think of questions to ask me so I have something to talk about. Guys, I could straight up talk about writing for hours and hours and hours. I love talking about writing and not actually doing it. Hello, I'm back. Please be nice to me. Questions are hard to come up with, that's true. Questions are hard to come up with, yes, but I don't have a lesson plan and I don't know what to talk about. We can talk about translating images into writing, because I was thinking about that earlier. I was doing it specifically because, laugh right now, ha ha ha. We were talking about fanfiction. I was also reading fanfiction earlier because we love it. Parts of naming things? God, I hate naming things. No, absolutely not. I literally have 2 characters who have placeholder names, and that got cemented as their real names now, and I'm using them as their real names because I found a workaround to make it canon. Woo! But we're not talking about. I hate naming things. God, it's so hard. I literally, one of like the universal truths about me is I don't name things. They get named, and then I receive those names in like subconsciously. That's why they have punch cards. I like try things out, and then one of them clicks and I go, oh, okay, cool. Anyway, moving on. Name a sword right quick. Nope. Flim-flam. That's sure, we're going with that. I don't know, that's fine. Do I have opinions on phrasing? I have so many opinions on phrasing, but it's hard to do without examples, and I can't really show you example. Well, I can probably look for examples. Let me see. Because the thing is, phrasing and the way you choose, like phrasing as in how you say things, or phrasing as in how you kind of structure things, because there's a little bit about that. That's kind of that's kind of what gives your writing personality, or your personality. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of times that when I write things, I write it in my voice, so you get the way I phrase things, and it gets really awkward when I write things outside of my own phrasing, because I read them back and I'm like, that's gross, and I don't like it. I'm talking about personality, haha. Yeah, but I write it. It's hard to explain, because like, I write very conversationally. Yeah, outside of dialogue, I write pretty conversationally. So everything that I write should sound natural coming out of a human being's mouth. Specifically mine. You'll find people who have writing styles and voices where it's less conducive to that, and it's less casual, and that can be great for their writing, or whatever it is they're writing, but yeah, whatever, is up to that. There are gonna be like rules that people will give you to help with, or like, yeah, there'll be rules that people will give you for writing. They're like, oh, do this, and do this. It's like, if the style or the voice, the format that you're going for does not include those rules, throw them out. They're good rules to have if you're learning to write, but if you've decided on what you kind of want, then you can go off the rails, do whatever you want. Like having active voice in oh hi, sup Zinc, having active voice in writing is a good, for stories and things like that, is a good tip. However, if you're writing something to sound clinical and sound distant, to have the narrator be away from it, is his Achilles heel. Yeah. It's literally Achilles heel. It's questionable how far up that goes, because he did get shot with an arrow. So it's like his ankle and heel area, but whatever. If you're writing something more clinical, you want to use like the inactive voice, because that's what sounds inactive. Phrasing is a hard question to answer because so many things come in with phrasing. It really becomes your own personal opinion at that point. I use too many commas when I'm not editing. There was that sentence I was looking at earlier that I was like, God, why did I write it like that? Let's see. The panels on the wall slid open again and the shotguns turned, lining up their targets. That's not too bad, actually, now that I read it, but it looks bad. That's kind of how I do things. I do it by how it sounds and how it visually looks, not even reading the words, just like how the flow of the sentence goes. I don't like this. I don't like it. I don't like this area right here. Greek gods can be cool. All mythologies can be cool. But yeah, I don't like how this looks. It looks bad. Reading it doesn't sound wrong, but I'd probably change it to make it look better, or maybe it's just the font, but it looks stupid. Yeah, I use so many commas. I am so many commas. I comma so much. It's really bad. It's a bad thing. I try not to comma splice my way to the end of a paragraph because that sucks. But sometimes I forget and I'll have like 4 commas in a sentence, and it's like, truly, you're doing something wrong if you have that many commas. I wanted to talk about translating images into text because, again, we were talking about fanfiction earlier. When to use this, semicolon? God, no. No one knows how to use a semicolon. Everyone is wrong. Technically, there are situations where I know how to use a semicolon. One is for listing things that have commas. So if you're listing, for example, let's say you have 3 people in a line. We'll use A, B, and C. We'll do that. So you have A, that's a period, A, B, and C, and you wanted to have a list of A, B, C arrangements. I'd put a colon here. You don't need to put a colon here. It could be a different kind of sentence, but this is, in this scenario, you'd be using arrangement. I'm not doing it. We're doing this. I'll get back to that. We're talking about semicolons. So in this, you could do A, B, it's hard to see, and then C, and then you'd have a semicolon there. Then you do B, C, A, and then you'd have a semicolon, and we'll do C, A, B, and like you would use a semicolon in a situation like this where you are listing things, and usually when you're listing things in a sentence like this, you would use a comma. But if those things that you're listing already have commas in them, you can use semicolons to denote each of those. That's like the one use of semicolon I know is a fact and not subject to interpretation and like figuring it out, or people being like, that's wrong. It's like, no, this is a practical use of a semicolon, and I'm not wrong in this. That's one way to use semicolon. Another way to use a semicolon is to connect 2 sentences to full sentences. They have to be proper sentences, not just clauses, as being related. But it gets confusing at that point, because sometimes you can use a comma in those if you're doing, if you have a clause, if the second sentence is like a clause and the first sentence is a full sentence, and because it's a clause, you can just put a comma there. Or if you have, you can also use like, there's a very long dash that you can use sometimes that will connect sentences as well. Semicolons are very difficult. I just suggest not using them if you don't know how to use them. There are instances where it's like, oh, I feel like a semicolon makes sense here, and then you consider, well, I could also use this other punctuation, or I could just reword the sentence here, and I always do that instead of using the semicolon, because God knows I don't know how to use a semicolon. It's so hard to learn. The definition of it, I think, is like where a sentence is supposed to stop, but or not the definition, but one of the definitions people use is like where a sentence is supposed to stop, but it keeps going anyway. It's hard to do, and you have to use like, you have to make it a full sentence, so you can't use contractions, I don't know, you can't use like and, but those kind of words, whatever. Translating images into text, again, talking about fanfiction, so if you are making reference, if this was movies to written words, and this will happen in like novelizations too, but they should at least be aware of what they're doing. There is a sort of, we'll say this, there's a filter that you have to pass the information through to make it make sense and have a similar energy, vibe, style to what the visual piece of work is. So it's not a one-to-one, and you'll see this because in movies and TV shows you'll have like a script, and sometimes the script will have stage directions or like emotional directions there, but a lot of times it's just dialogue. I was thinking about this in specifically in relation to dialogue, but it can happen for, it's like, there's other things about it. I'll talk about it later, but I'm getting distracted. I was reading this fic, and someone had taken the word-for-word dialogue in the movie and had transplanted it into their fic and just left it at that. They didn't do any kind of zhuzhing, translating to make it make sense in text. The problem with that is, although the text and dialogue is good, like, it sounds good, it makes sense for the character, obviously, because it's literally exactly what the character said, it doesn't work, or it sounds wrong because they didn't translate it properly. They missed out on the flow of how the dialogue is, the intention of what the character was kind of getting at, any actions that the character has taken, and also, weirdly enough, they also missed out on the other characters' dialogue in that scene. Technically, neither of the characters were speaking to each other, they were kind of speaking at each other because there was no actual conversation going on there, but even if the character A doesn't actually stop to listen to what character B has to say, if there is kind of them talking over one another, you can translate it into text by having character B be cut off every time character A speaks. It was, I don't actually remember what the passage was, but like character A was talking. Give me an H. Character A was talking, like so it's sort of an interrogation, asking questions like, what were... I fully am lying. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know why I'm lying about it. It was the scene in How to Train Your Dragon, the first movie, where Astrid finds Hiccup in the woods and he's about to leave on Toothless, and she's asking about how he got better at dragon training, what he's doing in the woods when he runs away immediately after all the training and things like that, and she's interrogating him, leaving pauses in between all of her sentences, but not listening to him speak. I can fully look up what the dialogue is. Or I can just go off of, we'll just go off of memory. She says something like, nobody gets as good as you do, especially you. Are you training with someone? Someone. It better not involve this. There was more dialogue to that scene, but I can't remember what it is. I know this part, and I know that this part is also an example of what I'm talking about. This is all, to my knowledge, correct dialogue for what she's saying. So it makes sense for the character, it makes sense for the scene, and it's good dialogue in that sense. Like, it works. However, if she's saying this, the way that she's saying it like this, you don't get any of the energy of what you're seeing in the film. Because in the film, she pauses. Not here, there's more dialogue, but she pauses between, are you training with someone, and it better not involve this. Hiccup says stuff in between. He kind of like stutters, trying to figure out a lie that would work, but he's a terrible liar and is bad at and doing a bad job. But he's like stuttering and going, what, this, what, no, kind of thing. She's 100% not listening. She's bowling over exactly what he's saying. But there is that pause between there as she's stalking towards him, threateningly. Without those pauses, without that kind of, not really exchange, but without him kind of speaking in between, you don't get the idea of her being very much in charge of this entire situation. Which is, yeah, that's what I was thinking about. That's why I was like having this mini rant to myself before I was streaming when I was reading this, because you lose so much of that energy if you translate images from screen to writing like this. You lose the fact that she very clearly knows that she's being intimidating and threatening. She starts this scene out appearing suddenly on top of a rock that he didn't see, sharpening her axe. In this scene, she is holding her axe, flipping it between her hands, like moving close, like walking close to him where he's walking back away from her. She's getting in his face, she's grabbing his clothes, she's completely in charge of the situation, and he's literally on the back foot. And you lose so much of that information if you take away action tags, which we were talking about earlier. Basically, don't be lazy and translate the thing well. That's sort of it, but lazy is a weird way to explain it because a lot of people don't realize that they have to do that. This person who is writing does actually have action tags and things like that after this paragraph of text, that the paragraph of dialogue, where it talks about her grabbing his clothes and walking towards him. It's just where you put that information when you break it up is important as well. It's much less effective if the information that she's stalking towards, where she's stalking towards him goes here than it is if it's here, because it gives action and it gives pause. This is also something I did mention, I think, in your writing, where I said that the dialogue is good, but you need a break in between it or else it sounds unnatural. You can have a character completely like jam as much information to one breath essentially as possible, but you get a certain feeling for how they're talking. they aren't going to sound casual whatsoever. They're not going to sound like they're having a conversation. They're not going to sound like they're asking questions to have them answered. They're going to sound like they're info dumping, they're interrogating, they are spewing words out. It changes the image the reader is going to have in their head. Which is why reading is just as important, reading is just as important to writing as actually practicing writing, because you get a feel for what a reader understands when they're reading certain things when you do a lot of reading. Tokens, bridge tokens. The reason I bring this up is even if you're not writing fan fiction, if you're not translating an actual already established visual work into a written work, most people I'd say don't think in written text the way books are written. I sort of do, but that's just because this is my obsession. This is like my one obsession that has lived with me my entire life, and I will not get over it literally ever. This is my thing. So I think in this way, and I think if you've heard me speak, I also sort of talk in this way, which is why I can get away with writing in my own voice a lot, is because I kind of have this, my brain processes information in this way and like stores information like this. A lot of people will see, or it is encouraged, and I do encourage this too, for people to imagine sort of like movie scenes of what they want to happen, and then to write that as their scenes as in their writing. And that's very helpful because you get a lot more energy to the writing if you have like an image of what's going on. If you imagine it in cinematography style, you get like you can get like camera pans and zooms and things like that. You focus on certain elements, you switch between different scenes, you'll reference things outside of the actual scene you're in. It can make things more interesting, it can bring more life to your writing, it can make things seem more lively and literally cinematic, that's the word I wanted. If you've ever heard a DM explain if you've ever heard a DM who is good at creating imagery explain what they're or explain a scene or a room or an image, that's kind of what you want to be doing. And a lot of them can, like, the things that they're saying can be translated into a visual medium because they're doing so well at explaining this visual that they have. But yeah, that's it. It also establishes it also, the translating works in this scenario as well, because you have to learn how to translate what you're thinking into what you are writing down. If you don't take into consideration the fact that you might be imagining pauses or facial expressions or body movements for these characters that you haven't written down. God, I lost that sentence. You might be imagining pauses, body language, facial expressions that you're not writing down, and when you're doing that, it doesn't necessarily follow that whoever's reading is going to do that. So you will lose, if you don't write those things down, you'll lose some of that clarity. You could fully change the way that a scene or a character is perceived just straight up by not writing down details like that. Things like sarcasm, things like holding back emotions really lose themselves if you just write dialogue and you don't really have those kind of action tags, dialogue tags, things like that. Again, another thing I've wrote on your story is that one of your characters fully reads like an emotionless robot, like a mannequin. It can work if you want to do that, but I would also, if you wanted to make an emotionless character, I'd make reference to that so it doesn't just seem like a mistake. Because it can feel like a mistake even if you're intentionally going for that. I'd make reference to those things, because this character is not reacting to anything. I don't remember your character's names, I'm so sorry. But this character is not reacting to anything. They are not having any facial expressions. They aren't doing any kind of body movements aside from like the large ones, like moving across the floor. They are fully a robot. they read like a robot. I'm not getting any information there, because you have to remember, when you're writing, opposed to visual mediums like movies and TV shows, everything you're writing down is everything that the reader is going to see. They're not going to be able to fill in anything as if you don't like add a little bit of information there, or they might fill in a little bit of information, but it's not something that they're going to consciously be able to pick up on. Like if you're describing a room, you're not going to describe every single aspect of it, but if you say like the shelves were cluttered in books, the heavy wooden desk in the center was askew, paper strewn about the room, I don't have to describe every single paper, I don't have to describe every single book, I don't have to necessarily tell you that the entire room is messy. Like you don't have to necessarily tell you that the entire room is messy if I mention things like pencils or candlesticks or whatever. You could assume that because I've described other things in this room as being messy, that those are also going to be messy. But yeah, it's like it's going to be things like this, like that. You have to set a groundwork for someone to interpret off of, and anything that they're interpreting cannot be something that is important to what's happening in the fiction. Sure, in the fiction. I keep saying fic because I was thinking about it, but in the work, in the writing, you can't leave important information up to interpretation. Another thing that I edited for someone had two characters talking, and then one of those characters stopped talking, and then the other character, we'll go character A and character B because that makes things easier. Character A and B were talking, and then character A stopped talking, and character B started speaking to themselves or to an object or like a small animal or something. I can't remember. It was this retelling of a fairy tale, and we're literally talking about character A. The implication when I spoke to the writer of this was that character A left the room. However, they never established that character A left the room. They just were like, yeah, they finished their conversation and left it at that, which is, you can't do that. that character is still in that room unless you tell me they left. Sorry. If the way, like things like that are important, because that is how you kind of have foreshadowing, or like a character being sneaky and all that. If you don't establish, it's kind of the kind of thing of, if you don't see a dead body, the character is not dead. For stories and things like that, because again, you are the writing is all is all that a reader is going to understand and get. So yeah, that is me talking. That's a funny logic. Yeah, it was a weird thing. Like, I understand what the writer was talking about, because it was the end of the conversation, and it was kind of a dismissal, but it's like, this was a public space in these characters' house. It was like the kitchen, and they're in the kitchen, so it's not like it was immediately intuitive that character A would have left. It's not like they were in character B's room, where you could kind of infer that this person left. Truly, it was a fun little thing. Yeah, which is why you have to, when you're reading it, this is why it's a good thing to have an editor or a beta reader who can catch things like this. Or what I'll do is I'll go through my works days later, or I'll try to do it and see if I pick up on anything, because it can be easier if you're going into reading it a little bit fresh to see if there's anything that stands out. Or another thing that's actually real helpful is saying things out loud, because when you're reading stuff inside your head, you're more likely to add in information that is not there, or imagine what you've already thought. If you're reading things out loud, you have to double process what it is you've written, and that can really help bring out information, or bring out a lack of information that you've previously missed. It's also good for making sure that your sentences make sense, especially with dialogue. Always read out loud your dialogue. Even if it's not how you speak, there are certain rules for how people talk that you really should just read out the things you're saying. Out loud is embarrassing. You don't have to read it very loud. I personally will, if I'm used to it. I do it so much, so I'm pretty used to it again. I've lost shame for a lot of this kind of stuff. But even mouthing it, like forming the words with your mouth if you're not willing to say it out loud, can help. Because again, you have to double process the words. You gotta RP as the character. You 100% have to RP as the character. Put yourself in their shoes. But yeah, like even just mouthing the words can definitely help you see if it makes sense, because in your brain you can sort of pause, and like the voices in your head will read out whatever it is at whatever pace that it needs to be. But if you're even just mouthing words, you will instinctually do the things that the punctuation tells you to do. I am without shame for some things, okay? Don't be mean. I still showed you, God. But yeah, things like if I was reading this in my brain, I literally might blitz past all of the punctuation. With the other hand, Kai reached into the bag and pulled out a fistful of dice. Things like that. Like, I'll blitz through it very quickly because I'm just reading it. If I'm reading it out loud, or mouthing it to myself, it becomes, with their other hand, Kai reached into the bag and pulled out a fistful of dice. You get a little bit of that sentence is not great, but you get the feeling, you get for the punctuation. You find out if you've put punctuation in the wrong spaces, or if you need to add more, you need to add less, things like that. It also helps you catch 2 hour mark. Ew. It also helps you catch double using a word multiple times. I did this. I was rereading. Give me 1 second. I was rereading. Let me see if I can find my funny little fic. It's so stupid. Yeah, this one I didn't edit properly, so I didn't catch these things. I think mostly what I was doing was editing for spelling mistakes, but I was rereading it, and I was reading it out loud to myself because I was bored. And I kept seeing that I was repeating words not for any reason, just because I forgot I'd written them down. As you can see, all of these sentences start with and. And if there was one particular mortal, and if you appeared in the form of Dream Prime, and if it especially wasn't a big deal when, again, polysyndeton is useful technique if you're using it as a literary device to cause an effect. If you're not doing it to cause an effect, it sounds awkward and upset, and it makes me mad. It's stupid, and there was also my use of starting sentences incorrectly in this fig are abysmal. It's so bad. But like it's so bad. Yeah, this fig was very fun. 100% a crack fic. I didn't put a lot of effort into. I didn't put too much effort into it. It's a mess. It's very messy. It's very strange. It sounds like someone else was writing it. It was really weird. I also fully messed up another thing you'll be able to catch, and everyone in Dream Team are my family. It would be is in this case, because even though it is referring to multiple people, the Dream Team is one unit, so it'd be is. God, I hate it. It's really funny. I'm so glad that I stopped having to look at this. Polly was just a cardboard cutout, and had been the entire time. But yeah, lot of thingies, lots going on there. You can also, I do this thingy. Where is it? This no commas, thump thump thump. For, I think that counts as onomatopoeia. But I'll do that, and that's kind of something you have to have as a visual element. That doesn't really translate to speaking very well, because if you're, like, the purpose is to have it and not have the commas there, but if you're saying it out loud, you will put those commas in, because it makes sense. But whatever, writing is fun I like using writing as a visual medium as much as I like having it as a kind of theater of the mind, intellectual kind of medium. And I don't think enough people take advantage of that. Anyway, do you have any questions, or is there anything else, anything you want me to touch on? Because I'll probably go on another ramble about it. What do you think about the what do you think about the think if you want to learn to write, you gotta read? That is one of my biggest pieces of advice. If you want to learn to write, you have to read. There's no way around it. You think it's funny and somewhat BS? It's absolutely not BS. You have to read. You don't have to read about writing. You don't have to... Yeah, that's the thing. You don't have to just read. You have to read actively. This is something I've ingrained in myself and learned how to do instinctually. Also because, again, the thing I'm interested in, this is my brain, this is my thing, this is, if we're talking about special interests, this is mine. So I get super excited for reading, and it's not quite editing what I do, but for certain things and a lot of fanfiction, I will instinctually edit, but I pick up on certain things, I compare it to past things I've written, past things I've read, I noticed literary devices. How can I remember the words if I don't see them? That is, like, I can see the things in my head, I don't see the words. Yeah, it's something you have to learn how to do. It's literally a skill that you can get, and that's something, because I've learned to do this since I was very young. It's something I learned that not everyone knows how to do. Learning how to annotate, if you can't do it in your head, do it on paper or do it in notes. I keep forgetting to do that. I keep meaning to actually annotate things properly, like in notes. Doing it because it's a lot easier annotating in notes. But yeah, you have to learn how to do it actively. So, for example, Like, for the majority of what I did for your editing, I sat down to write out what I thought, but most of it was stuff I got immediately, like, first time reading. Some of the stuff I got the second time through. Most of the stuff was like immediately, okay, this, like, that's how my brain processes things. Even if your brain turns off when you're reading, as long as if you remember the story, if you remember certain scenes, if you remember what's going on, or like any aspect of the story, it does help for your writing, because you get a better feel. Your brain went brr. Every time I read things, my brain does that. You get a feel for what makes sense in writing. People understand a lot more about writing, also music too, that's something, but like writing, music, art, and things like that, than they think they do, because it's not something they actively understand. It's something that is instinctual, because they've been brought up with this information being fed into them subliminally. Love my tongue not working for me. Like 3-act structure, like character arcs, like satisfying endings. People understand this, and that's why they can go, oh, that's a good story, that feels correct. How do you activate your brain? You gotta train it, you gotta try. I can do a later on, we can do an annotation stream where, when I'm not saying, I'm so sorry, baby, I'm so sorry, we're talking about writing, it's not that important, it's okay, you're fine. I'm sorry, I stream Tuesdays and and sometimes Saturdays, probably not, but sometimes Saturdays, and then Thursdays if I don't feel like streaming on Tuesday. If you want, love you too. I'm sorry to consider it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you want, I can do a stream where I explain how to do annotation, because it is something that it makes it easier to when explained to you. It has been so long. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'll do an annotation stream. Send me a short story. Send me a short story, because I don't feel like when I go to school, I'll save it as a VOD, and then we can go through it. I'll have to like pull out my other computer, because I want to be writing notes like by hand. It makes it easier. But yeah, I can go through something like that. I don't want to do any of my work, because it's harder when it's my own work. But if you want to send me something, I can explain how to do annotations and stuff like that. And I'll do actually 2 versions of it. I'll do one where it's my immediate reaction. Kai was writing something. Yeah, okay, we can go through that. I just want something that I've never seen before, because it makes it easier for me to explain things like that. Because I can explain what are arrangements. What? It doesn't matter. Send me something. I might, like, short stories, if you want a good example, right, send me like a published short story, preferably only like a few pages, just because it makes it easier for me when reading, because I'm planning to read it out loud and talk you through my thought process while I'm reading for the first time, and then we'll go back a second time and do the second read through for that kind of stuff. Because I can show you my instinctual thoughts, and then when I'm properly annotating things. 114 pages? No. I'm not doing 114 pages. Alright, bye-bye, baby. Get better. Love you. But yeah, I can look for something fun. Cool. It has to be something I haven't seen before, because if I've seen it before, it kind of breaks the, it makes it a little bit harder. Because even if I'm not leaving. Yeah, don't send me my own work. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, I've got, like I've said, I've trained myself to a point where I'm kind of actively reading all of the time that I'm reading, and that's when it really helps with my writing, or that's way I can enjoy reading but still have it help me with my writing. Like, I've literally picked up writing style and formatting styles from reading for fun, because you don't consume media. True. True. Yeah, specifically media you consume. But yeah, I've picked up writing styles and formatting styles from reading for fun, where I'm not doing things, where I'm not annotating things and trying to actually really see things. Woo! Really see like all the specific points. It really can help if you're reading specific points, but also reading to get a feel of what's going on. Get a feel of how other people describe certain things, or how people use dialogue, or how people use tense and POV and things like that, how people use story elements to create this feeling, this style, and this energy. The syntax they use, syntax, diction, grammar, things like that, font, even italics. You pick these things up if you're reading. Even a lot of these things you can pick up subconsciously while you're reading. It does help if you do consciously look for these things, but yeah, that's fun. Plot structure too, because honestly, writing seems needlessly complicated. It's not. A lot of it is intuitive. Like, you will pick things up as you are exposed to them. That's just how it works. But if you're trying to break anything down into its steps and processes and like the specific minutia of everything, it's gonna seem more complicated than it is, or it's gonna seem as complicated as it actually is, and people just don't notice. People think writing is easy because they can write sentences, but like, they don't understand how much work goes into writing, and like how much is there, and what things actually relate to. And I'm not great at writing. I just have a lot of passion for it, and I can do it. Personally, things I should be doing is reading books. Writing it correctly is hard. Yeah, sure. I should be reading books on writing and like consuming information on writing and how to do things like that. But I don't want to do that because it's boring, so I don't do it. Also, reason I don't properly annotate stuff, and I don't read original fiction. I really should be reading original fiction. I have to read more things that are not just the same stuff I'm interested in, but I'm not like that. It's hard, okay? I struggle with it. I struggle bus with it. But yeah, people say original fiction is no fun. Original fiction can be fun, but I'm boring. There very specifically is an element of you have to read what you want to write. Fanfic supremacy, sure. You have to read what it is you want to write, because it is so incredibly difficult to make things out of nothing. Everything is a reference to something else, and that's fine. It's okay. You can borrow, you can copy, you can steal and tweak and change things subtly, and it's all okay. Do that. Literally steal from other writers and do that, and change it a little bit and do that. Everything is fan fiction of something else. I'm being fully serious. You have to understand to make other people understand is kind of the thing, right? Like, you have to understand how telling people things works. Okay, fine. I'll be back. I will be back. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask, because probably after I come back, I'm gonna make like closing remarks, and then that'll be the end of this stream. I returned. Scene structure. Okay, yeah, scene structure is an interesting one. It is something that you're going to have to... It's a case-by-case basis, obviously, because each scene is going to be different. What advice can I give you? Well, first of all, every scene needs to have a purpose in your story. It can be any purpose, but it has to have a purpose. There has to be something going on there. It can just be two characters talking, or they could be doing something. Actually, if I can bring up... There is... Actually, I want to bring up my OC-tober. The actual OC-tober that I finished, because there's fun examples in there that I quite liked. Doesn't mean they're good, but they're examples of scenes, of different scenes that I have. Where's Midnight? Let me see if I can find Midnight. This is fine. We all know what this is. October from 2020. Yeah. But I was thinking about it because in Midnight... Yeah, in Midnight, the clip, the snippet is called Midnight. The purpose of that scene is that these two characters, Lucas and Nett, they don't have a great relationship. It's sort of trying to highlight that they have an antagonistic relationship to one another, and they're not willing to work together, or at least one of them's not. I can't remember quite exactly what happens, but at least one of them is not willing to work with the other, even if it's at a detriment to both of them. I can't find it. Okay, wait, let me... Tools... Where is it? View file... Find and replace. Midnight... Oh, there it is, 27, nice. Yeah, so in Midnight, the purpose of this one is that Lucas and Nett are not friends and don't want to talk to each other and are having trouble, mostly from Nett's side, but they're both they're neither of them are making it easy for each other. It's a very short scene. Something is happening in the background where they're locked in these kind of in one of the testing rooms, not testing rooms, but one of the challenge rooms. That's what I called them. Hi, man. We are getting to the end of this. It's sort of writing class. I don't know if you noticed that coming in. Where I'm rambling. God, we're rambling. It's fun though. Yeah. So a lot of it is going to be something you learn to you learn, and not something you can kind of isolate to each scene, because the scene has to work in the rest of the story as well, which is why it's fun to do. Why it was fun to do this OC-tober and have like, oh no, have literally anything happen in these scenes, because I knew I wasn't going to extend these scenes very much, if at all. And so I didn't have to think of how the scene was going to work in the rest of the structure of the actual story. Main thing, the scene has to have a purpose, and you have to know what the purpose of that scene. We're being entertained and we're learning. You have to know what the purpose of that scene is before you start. That's what the planning phase is. That's the fun part of the planning phase. You can't just run into it. Yeah, you have to know what you're talking about. It can be like a vague idea, but if you don't have at least some idea of what you're trying to establish, it's going to get real messy. Sorry. Well, I'll actually, the planning phase, yeah. I'll actually use an example from the thing you sent me, because you have a few scenes in there. You have the scene where characters wake up, scene where we go to what the other character is doing, scene where they come together, scene where they visit someone else, and then scene where they're walking outside. So that's like 5. Yeah, it's really easy to get stuck there. We have like 5 scenes of things that are going on. You don't give enough time for any of them to breathe. Maybe not any of them, but you don't give enough time. I remember thinking you don't give enough time for this story that you've established, that you set up here, for the 5 scenes of the story, to breathe and kind of be their own individual scenes. How you make them breathe, you get a feel for it. I'm so sorry. Another reason that learning how to read actively, it will be adding more words. It can be adding pauses. Definitely in your case, in the thing you showed me, definitely adding more words. You learn how to read actively. Literally, you have to understand what makes the scene structure work. Again, I can go over this when we do the annotating class, but yeah, I can go over it when we do annotation class, but because it's really hard to explain as something that I understand instinctually, and also as something that is going to be it's going to be different for everything you have. Like, you will get into a flow, you will eventually get a flow state for it. It's also something that is going to be based on how you personally write. Because I can sort of tell you how it works for me, but that's going to be for my style of writing and for my voice, and it's not necessarily going to be how you learn to do it. So it's something you do have to learn yourself. So that's fun. If you want to think of it, if you want to think of it, you can do sort of like if you do like a 5-paragraph essay, how the 5 paragraphs are beginning, point, and then conclusion, and then each like point paragraph has the beginning, points, and then the conclusion, and then each sentence for your points kind of has that beginning, point, and then conclusion. You can do that for stories as well, because if you think of something like a 3-act structure, it's going to have the inciting part, the action where you get to the climax, and then the ending. You kind of do that for scenes as well, so whatever is the point of the scene becomes like the action with the climax, and then you have the beginning where you're setting up what's going to be happening, and then you have the ending where you kind of conclude what's going on. None of these are proper stories, so they're a little bit hard to point to, but I can try. I fully don't remember what any of these are. Not fully. I don't remember quite a lot of what's going on here, and the writing is 3 years old, so we'll look at it. It didn't work. Blah blah. Oh wow, who would have guessed your plan didn't work? Lucas ignored him. Following with the panel by the wall. It's supposed to say fiddling the panel by the wall some more. 2 of them had been trapped in this challenge room for way too long. So this is the setup. This here is part of the setup, right? We're establishing characters, so Lucas is here and Ned is here. We're establishing that they don't have yeah. They don't even have lungs, Bridge. Yeah, I know. We're establishing that they don't have that great or we're establishing that Net is being antagonistic to Lucas, and Lucas is not playing along. So we have that kind of set up here. This is continued setup as well, because it's giving a bit more information. That is part of my style that I found that it's a thing that I do. I give information at they're in their enemies to lovers arc. No, actually they're in enemies to friends arc, because the reason that Net is like mad about Lucas's existence is because Lucas is new boy in the bunker, and Israel, who Net is in a sort of romantic relationship in, but they won't define what's going on, is spending a lot of time and attention to Lucas, because there's stuff going on with Lucas. That's a lot is going on with Lucas, because there's a messy thing. But Israel as bunker dad is being is giving a lot of attention, and Net's kind of jealous, but that's a whole thing. Yeah, so they antagonize him, and it's a whole thing. They also just don't have personalities that really mesh together. They kind of as well as having like that kind of jealousy thing there, and Lucas being like, I don't know why you're mad at me, but I'm gonna be mad at you because you're mad at me. They just don't have personalities that super mesh. If they didn't have that whole jealousy thing, they still wouldn't really be friends. They'd kind of just, they might be coworkers or acquaintances, but they wouldn't be like friends. So it sucks that they're both very close to Israel, who is friends with both of them. They're very close to the whole thing. It's great. I like conflict. That's so untrue. I don't like person versus person conflict. I never write it. Almost never. Anyway, another thing about structuring, this isn't part of the scene structure, but it is part of the format of writing. I found that when I give information, it's not quite exposition, because I know it is exposition, but it's not an exposition dump. This here would count as exposition. The room was divided down the center with the door on either side. There were contraptions and devices on both sides, but Lucy couldn't quite see what was on Net's side. It wasn't like they were planning on being any kind of help. That's technically exposition. I found that I put it in strange places. I will put it just wherever it's kind of like especially relevant. And so you get like these. It works really well for my style of writing, and people seem to really like it, and it works for the world building things that I have, where you get information as you go, so you don't really know about the world, but it seems it's more of a natural way, I found, for me to divulge lots of information, just like spread it out through the fic. So it's like, I'm saying fic because I'm thinking about specifically the fanfictions I've posted that people are like, wow, yeah, world building, damn. So I'll like split it up and divide it like that. And it does help with the scenes it helps let them kind of breathe. We got it. Yeah, I know. It helps with the scenes to give them space, because part of it is what you're writing, part of it is how you're writing and how much you're writing. Literally giving it that length, giving it that space between words helps establish a flow to it that can definitely help your sentence structure or your scene structure. A lot of people don't talk about this, but formatting, paragraphing, sentence length and things like that, punctuation, grammar, can really affect how the actual scenes are written. Like, you could have a perfect scene layout and like story beats and all that. Like, it can be planned out, and in bullet points it's perfect and it works very, very well. But if you write it and you don't allow for proper like literally time between the reader's eyes taking in certain points of information, it's going to feel wrong and too fast or too slow. So it does help for me, at least in my writing, to have these little exposition, these little sentences, things of paragraphs of exposition put in between active story elements to kind of allow the reader to be like, okay, so that's happening, and that you have a little bit more time to kind of process what's going on. Because if you see here, he's fiddling away with it up here, and when you're reading this, it's implied that during this whole time, which could be 5 minutes, could be 1 to 5 minutes, could be maybe a little bit longer, it's implying that he's fiddling around, he's doing something, he's trying to figure things out, and it gives it kind of gives legitimacy to how much time, like, to the timeline of this scene. Because if I have if I take this section out, it becomes Lucas ignored him fiddling with a panel by the wall some more. The two of them had been trapped in this challenge room for way too long. Could you at least try my way? Which is Lucas speaking. Yeah, that section, that part is Lucas speaking, so it goes, if you remove this sentence here, you have a really weird, cramped timeline where literally nothing that I've actually written changes, but the way that the reader perceives it changes. So yeah, that's Lucas speaking. I'm fully ignoring this, so I'm getting confused. Because if I remove this, it becomes Lucas ignored him and then immediately goes into talking to Ned, which doesn't make sense for me saying Lucas ignored him. It might make sense where he like ignores that this kind of jab initially and then goes, hey, well, you could try doing what I'm trying to do. But it seems weird if you take out this little spacer information idea here. That's kind of what giving room to breathe is, like literally giving time for the reader to process what's going on, because the reader isn't going to stop in the middle of reading necessarily to process what's happening. They're gonna read, and while they're reading, you have to give them time to process while they're reading. Another thing you can learn if you learn how to read actively, because you can see what other writers do, like what scenes other writers will give time to for the reader to experience. You can also see it in other sources of media, so graphic novels, comics, and manga. If you're watching shows, you'll see it. If you're watching movies, you'll see it. You'll see how these creators give room for processing during the run of the actual piece of media. Yeah. Now we're talking about that's scene structure, right? That makes sense. Anyway, the point of the scene was to get to this line here. Well, broken clock, except you're like a clock that just says midnight, turned around towards him, swiping their hands through the air as if displaying something. Can't even bother to be right twice a day. That's the climax of the scene. So, technically, that's like what we're trying to get to, and then we have the closing kind of ending section here where they stop talking to each other. Translating stories can also be very helpful, yeah. Translating stories can be helpful. It's another way, similar to saying things out loud. It makes you, that's my phone by the way, it makes you process it differently, and then also makes you process it again. Translating can be very hard though, because translating things properly, I literally have a book that I was reading about how translating poetry is hard, because of so many things that make writing very interesting. Because poetry is a very fun example of all of the things you really have to be careful of condensed into a very small area, because you have to be conscious of the way that it looks visually, what the words say and what they can mean, the way that the sentences are structured, how many words are in a sentence, the flow of it, like if you're doing depending on what you're doing, like if you're doing rhymes, if you're doing iambic pentameter, or like the stressing of the words, like a lot of it, it's so it's so fun. It's so much to think about. Poetry is needlessly complicated, exactly, but it's really helpful for like crash coursing a lot of things that traditional story writing is going to be involved with. At least that I find, like, they're the things that I find interesting and important and useful for myself, and things that I think elevate my own writing is like worrying about how things look visually, not reading any of the words, but is there too many words in this paragraph? Does the place where it cuts off look nice? Is the ratio of literally like punctuation marks to letters, is that good looking? Things like that. And then when I'm writing individual sentences, I'll think, does the sentence itself sound nice, or should I replace words with other words? And yeah, that's all like poetry based things. Also, some sentences are grammatically correct and technically correct, but I'll look at them and I'll read them like the flow state of that is wrong. It doesn't fit for this paragraph. It doesn't fit as a sentence in the middle of this paragraph or at the end of it, or doesn't fit as a dialogue thing or something like that. And then I'll change it because it's a thing I learned and experienced and know about. But yeah, sentence scene structure is a little bit hard because it's. But yeah. I hope I hope there was some advice there that you can take away from. You can take into your own writing, because it's a little hard to really talk about stuff like that, because it's so subjective to both the writer, author, and also like to the scenes themselves. Because every piece of advice that I give that you can like take as a rule, 100% you can break them, but you have to know what you're doing to break them. If you wanted to do a thing where it's, depending on the POV, but if you want to do the thing where you pull the rug out from underneath a reader, or you want to make them feel unsettled, or you want to get a reaction, essentially, you can mess with things that people intuitively understand. Like, you can cut off a scene in the middle of it where it technically reads correctly, but it feels wrong, or it feels weird and surprising. There's things you automatically know if you understand things, if you understand stories and sentence structures, which is why people where writers will create surprise by having someone in the middle of a sentence of dialogue and they'll immediately cut them off by killing them. Like, it surprises viewers and readers because they're expecting a conclusion to that sentence, because it's something instinctually that they understand. Sentences have conclusions. Setups have conclusions. Setups have punchlines in jokes. So you can break the rules of things that should be there, things that feel complete, as long as you know what you're doing and you can follow up what you're talking about. My brain is turning to mush. I've been talking so long. I would start with creating with not breaking, breaking quote-unquote rules. I'd start with not breaking them. It's been almost 3 hours. I know, I've been jabbering about writing for so long. I'm loving it. It's so much fun. I'm having a good time. But I'm also my brain is melting because this is what happens even when I'm talking to myself about writing things, because I will literally sit down and have writing lessons to myself because I find it fun, because I'm a nerd. But my brain will start melting itself because I'm going in circles and I will get so off of target. Like, I will tangent forever about things related to other things and going on and on and on. And because of that, my brain melts because it's taking from all the places in my brain. We need more writing lessons. It's fun, but I refuse to make a like lesson plan. So if you want to know about things, you have to come with questions. Because you're not paying me. I'm not making a lesson plan. This is literally a thing people pay to learn about. I'm fully willing to talk about my advice and stuff. I'm not gonna make a lesson plan for this. Scene structure. Is there anything else for scene structure? Lesson plans are overrated? Yeah. Well, I can't talk about stuff if I don't have anything to talk about, but yeah, that's probably without an example of scenes. I guess we could try this. Woo! I guess we could look through here. Yeah, that's kind of the thing that you'll find in all of these scenes here that I'm actually noticing. Again, I haven't read them in a very long time, but I can see the stuff is... I can see it as I'm scrolling through. All of these scenes have concluding sentences. And even when there's scene breaks, yeah, they all have concluding sentences because I've wrapped up the quote-unquote idea of what that scene's gonna be. You have to kind of think of it like that. Yeah. Will I do OC-tober this year, Bridge? God, I want to. I want to really bad. I can try. OC-tober in 2020 was very strange because I had like bus rides to be able to write it down. Yeah, I want to. I'd love to do another writing challenge. This writing challenge was so much fun. It was so stressful and terrible to do, but it was so much fun. And I learned so much from doing it. And I feel like I got so much better at writing. It was so hard. I want to do more writing challenges, but yeah. I would say NaNoWriMo. NaNoWriMo is a lot. I don't think I could. Also, I have to change for the prompts for the writing time, I have to change that because I kind of hate how you do prompts. You're the only one whoever does the writing times. I kind of hate how you do prompts. Yeah, it is technically a prompt. I'd love if you gave like sentence prompts, like pieces of dialogue or a sentence. If you just gave a sentence, but whatever. Am I free to go? I feel like this is a conclusion. What is bad with the prompts? The thing that is bad with the prompts is it doesn't give a lot of room. Yeah, they're just ideas. They're not prompts. They're ideas. It's like picnic at the council. It's like, okay. the picnic at the council. You guys go on a picnic. You have like a blanket and food and stuff. Get food from the cart. And it's like, well, does anything in particular happen at the picnic? Like, is there any specific characters that are supposed to be there? Do you guys get into like a fight or something? Like, give me something more. Give me something else. I like dialogue prompts. Dialogue prompts are fun. Where it's like, yeah, you have to figure out how to get this dialogue into a scene. Try to upgrade my prompting skills. Please do. Please do. I'm trying to actually find it. There was a prompt fic that I did. Where is it? No, not you. And it was, okay, yeah, I did a prompt fic, and this was the prompt here. And it was very good. It worked really well. 'Cause in this case, it gives something for me to work towards. Technically, it's where I start, but it gives me something to work towards. This is not a fic that I ever finished, because of course I didn't. I hate finishing fics. But yeah, dialogue prompts are fun. Scene prompts are also fun, but like, yeah. Oh yeah, that's another thing that can be helpful for scene structure is you should be able to describe what's happening in the scene in shorthand, and all of that should follow in like the scene that you're writing. Frick. I'm having my brain is melting. Yeah, you should be able to condense and simplify the scene. You should be able to make a blurb about the scenes, essentially. It's kind of like making thumbnails for drawings, where you draw like a miniature version and then you can draw the actual detailed version. You can also do that for scenes, so you have like the bullet points of what's happening, and that can help you structure and pad out stuff. But yeah, I'm so tired. If you can't tell, it's 10:30. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leave. Thank you for coming. If you're here, thank you for coming. If you've stayed, thank you so much for staying. I'm melting. We'll get on that annotation stream if you give me something to annotate. But yeah, good night. Thank you for coming. Good night. Bye-bye.